Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the Bermudez versus Tsunami fight. And so, if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into this. So, this is another great, realistically, not really that hyped, but in my opinion, adding to the greatness of the women's fight weekend, I feel like it should be called. I mean, we have, of course, the really big event with Lauren Price and Natasha Jonas, with the likes of, Chloe Watson versus Jasmina Zapatozna, Caroline Dubois versus Shin, as well as, other huge fights, Karen Artenstall versus Raven Chapman, and then also, with Most Valuable Promotions, we see Sarah Bailey fighting Navarro, and Tia Bowl making her second professional fight and getting promoted quite well as a result. It's an excellent weekend for women's boxing, and that's what realistically you love to see. You love to see that women's boxing had this worldwide reach. I mean, what, three different continents, Europe, America, North America, and South America, all having big world title women's boxing fights on, and it's just excellent to see. It's gonna only just provide more entertainment, and this contest is, the one that's definitely going the most under the radar. But that's, of course, down to just the promotion out in Argentina. I mean, there isn't really much promotion, and there's no kind of big boxing promotion in South America, realistically, to be honest, which is a shame because there is so much good talent there, and if there was that bit more money pushed into the continent getting on big events and putting on big shows, then there would be, so much more bigger events and opportunities. I mean, for the likes of a Bermudez, she has been a dominant champion to this point. I mean, obviously she slipped at once, and that was against Yacasta Valle, but other than that, I mean, she's been able to have a lot of success in her career, and I mean, any times that she's kind of gone and had other big fights, she's had to go over to their country to go and fight them. I mean, most recent times, the Kim Clavel fight, that was fighting out in Canada, and, when she fought Valle as well, that was, where Valle wanted to fight. And so it's, showcasing the opportunities aren't realistically there, but she's definitely going to be comfortable, at least Bermudez, fighting at home against a Tsunami here and defending her belts against, a fighter which I'll talk about in just a minute, if I kind of believe that she is deserving of a world title fight. But of course, like I say, Bermudez, she's been a unified champion, and she's been able to defend the belts a few times. Obviously, we've seen Yacasta Valle be very good in the minimum weight division. She may be looking to move back up and trying to get maybe another fight with Bermudez for both of her titles, because of course, like I say, Yacasta Valle moved down in weight. But yeah, it's just been interesting to see how things worked in her career. I mean, like I say, she lost versus Valle, and it wasn't a bad defeat, but the literal next fight along, she was fighting for both them belts again, being the IBF and the WBO, just like that, kind of like nothing even happened, and it was just a bit strange to see, completely honest, that it showcased that Bermudez, I suppose, really didn't fight that bad in that fight to be given straight away the opportunity to fight for both the belts again. But it was just a bit random and something in which you don't necessarily see that often. Like I say, just a fighter get thrown straight back into the exact same title fight, pretty much, just with an easier opponent. Yeah, it's just interesting, a bit random to see. Tsunami, of course, so she's coming in as a 40-year-old woman, and it's going to be interesting to see if she can keep up. I mean, of course, we're seeing Natasha Jonas to get that kind of same test. Of course, Natasha Jonas has been much more dominant of a fighter and much better of a fighter than that of a Tsunami. But both the same age, are they both able to win, cause big upsets in at the age in which they are? Not necessarily does age matter too much, to be completely honest, anymore. I mean, there's plenty of world champions and excellent fighters who are fighting into their mid to late 30s, maybe, just pushing 40, maybe not quite 40, but still, like I say, there's a lot of success to be had there. And so it doesn't mean that necessarily she doesn't have a chance at all. I mean, is she deserving of this world title fight? That's kind of a different conversation, to be completely honest. Obviously, on face value, you look at her record and you see 13 losses. It's not, a good thing to have 13 losses. Obviously, she's had the 32 wins, which of course is over double the wins from the losses ratio, but it's still, like I say, not the best to have that many defeats. Obviously, she's had a long career that has been prolonged and has been fought over, plenty of years. It's been since 2005. So what, she's had 20 years professional as a boxer. There's not many fighters that can say that anymore. And so, she's had a long career to be able to have all these fights, but what, she's had almost 50 fights now, if my math's correct. And so she, has picked up a bit of a bad record. And maybe, if you look at it a bit deeper, you kind of see a lot of them fights were, around 2014, 2015. Then before that, there were a few ones in the kind of late 2000s, but still, there has been a couple in recent times. I mean, the most recent one was against Sinisa Estrada. It was, again, quite surprising to see that Estrada was willing to give somebody like a Tsunami the opportunity to fight for the belts. I mean, before then, she actually was the champion, so I suppose it does make sense. Estrada was wanting to go pick up Tsunami's belt, but if Tsunami didn't have a belt, then Estrada probably wouldn't have fought her, and so why is Bermudez fighting her? It's a different conversation, but she didn't put up a bad contest versus Estrada. I think she showed some durable aspects and aspects in which, showcased that she can operate at a high level. She isn't going to be somebody who is just going to get brushed aside. I mean, there is a lot of female boxers that you see still at the moment, kind of in the lower weight divisions or, upper weight divisions, where they don't realistically have the records to be going in for a world title, and they have lots of defeats in their records, similarly to a Tsunami here. But they genuinely, if they get to that position, they just can't fight at that level. Tsunami is a former WBO World Super Flyweight Champion. I mean, Light Flyweight Champion. My apologies. So she's had experience being a world champion. She's fought a few times for various different belts, but just to have a unified world title opportunity kind of just gifted to her, it's a bit surprising. And, like I say, you have the argument there of, is she deserving of it? I mean, her whole career she has been tested, and that is for the most part a very common thing when you see somebody fighting, you know, especially on the women's side so early on. She was fighting back in 2005. You kind of have to think that there weren't really that many opportunities there available to her, so she kind of couldn't really pick journeyman opponents or anything like that, because I don't really think they really existed. So she did get thrown in with tough contests from the get go. A lot of, 0-1 or 1-0 or debutants to kind of start off with, fighters with just few records who are really going to be coming to win. So some of the early losses on her record, I don't blame her at all, and she's had to travel around to be able to get top fights, and it hasn't been the easiest of careers for herself. But I suppose in that aspect she has been a servant to the sport, and so maybe you can argue in that way that she is deserving of a world title shot again. But it's just, like I say, an interesting debate, and it definitely does, carry on the conversation of the state of the lower weight divisions. I mean, of course, I've touched upon a few times since Sinisa Estrada has retired. I feel like the lower women's weight divisions have taken a serious hit, and I don't feel like that's been addressed too much at the moment. I mean, you kind of look around. I feel like the minimum weight division is looking quite poor. Yokasta Valle, Sarah Borman, they're the kind of noticeable names realistically that can maybe go on and, sell a little bit and stuff like that. The atomweight division doesn't have anybody too crazy. I mean, Ruperich is a good fighter to have there, but nobody too crazy. Then the light flyweight division has Bermudez kind of as the lead kind of trailblazer. Of course, Sarah Bailey as well, who I've touched upon, is fighting this weekend. She has the capabilities to become a big star with most valuable promotions, but that's just not really happened yet. And then, like I say, you progress through, there's not crazily big level names. Maybe, Fundora is kind of the biggest level name, and you have to go a good few weight classes, picking out the old singular fighter, Castavalle, Gabriel Fundora. There isn't really too many otherwise big names, Sinistro Estrada at least added that one more fighter, that one more very big name, that one more aspect, and a fighter who at least was getting promoted well, so was able to showcase her skills on a big stage in which Bermudez isn't really getting, which is sad to see. And so, yeah, I feel like I say, the lower weight divisions have taken a serious hit. I mean, for Valle to even go up and kind of pick up the belt in which she had that WBA title in which she now holds, she had to fight somebody that nobody really ever knows in a country that nobody was really going to watch the fight. I don't even think it was streamed anywhere. So I feel like I say, it's taken a serious hit just from one person in Sinisa Estrada retiring, and it's intriguing to see. But of course, it's Tsunami representing that Japanese women's boxing. And to be honest, I mean, if you compare Japanese women's boxing in the lower weight divisions to the men's side of things in the lower weight divisions, it's kind of night and day. There's a clear contrast. I mean, the men's side of things, of course, have some of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, the Nakatanis and Nues, just world class fighters. Whereas the Japanese women's side of things, as in general, as a whole, doesn't really have anybody too crazy. I mean, they have, Yamanaka, a few good atom weight fighters. Then, Kuroki is looking good as she's just become a champion, but will she be able to beat Castavalle? I really doubt it. I feel like she was fortunate to be given the opportunity to fight for the belt. There is a few names. Tsunami has the opportunity, but I just feel like Japanese men's side of things in the lower weight divisions are being showcased and displayed on such a high level. I would love to see some of the women's Japanese fighters be put on these same shows as the men's ones. The men's ones always seem to have multiple different world title fights on it. Why not have the women on there as well? That would be excellent, but it's just not really seemingly, been made to happen at the moment. And like I say, it's at least, like I say, a comfortable fight for the champion to take, one in which she's of course expected, but you don't want to be overlooking any opponent. And it's a interesting card, I suppose, to an extent. I mean, the main kind of other standout name on the card and on the show is Alanis fighting. I feel like that's a very good name to have on the show. To be completely honest, I feel like that will definitely bring a draw. I mean, Alanis had some great fights with Esparza, and they were great contests, and they kind of built Alanis's platform and pedigree. And obviously she got shut down badly versus Gabriela Fundora, and that was kind of the reason why Fundora was nominated for all them awards, why she became kind of Women's Fighter of the Year. But Alanis is still a creditable name, and it's not an excellent contest in which she's in. It's seemingly a bit of a get back type fight, a rebuild type fight, but still, nonetheless, it's a interesting contest, and a contest in which is nice, like I say, to have on a weekend which is demonstrating women's world class boxing at the highest of levels. To kind of give a brief, I suppose, overview of the fight, we'll just, like I say, give through the basic stuff. A lot of the stuff I've already touched upon, but Bermudez is 21-1 with 7 KOs. Tsunami is 32, 13-1 with 19 KOs, and this fight is for the IBF and WBO World Light Flyweight titles. Bermudez's last fight was a win via TKO in round 8 versus Basuto, and Tsunami's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Tawisuk. This is in Bermudez's home country of Argentina. Bermudez is 27 and Tsunami is 40. Bermudez is 5'5" and Tsunami is 5'2". Tsunami's losses have come versus Estrada in 2021, Musino in 2017, Rodriguez in 2015, Chavez in 2014, Musino again before that in 2014, Chavez in 2013, Munoz in 2013, Juarez in 2012, Perez in 2012, Yamaguchi in 2012, Mi Zhou in 2007, Hee Kim in 2006, and Hyun Kim in 2005. Like I say, there was gaps in the defeats for Tsunami, but they came in seemingly kind of chunks at points, and there was times in which, around 2014, 2015, 2013 even, where she was losing quite regularly and quite consistently, but that was a long time ago now, and I feel like probably a lot has changed from what she believes, and so, like I say, things are different, and are we going to get a different version? If it is anything like the version that Estrada had to deal with, then Bermudez could be definitely in for a tough night, a tough fight, and it has the capabilities to be an upset on the table, maybe, but Tsunami definitely, I feel like, could cause problems for multiple different fighters at the top level of the division because, her style is a little bit complex and awkward to deal with at times. Obviously, like I say, she is the smaller fighter. When she fought Estrada, that wasn't really too much of a factor because Estrada was quite a small fighter herself, but fighting Bermudez, it's something a bit different. I mean, Bermudez is a very kind of big, rangy, long type fighter in a division, and I feel like she utilizes that quite well. And so it's definitely going to be tough for Tsunami to be able to get to her way and get to kind of inside and to be able to rough her up too much realistically. And so, to speak about them both individually as fighters, to go through their attributes. Bermudez, she has a long, strong jab, and I think in general she has good, strong punches, and that's what she's realistically quite known for. And yeah, that good, long, strong jab is difficult to be able to deal with and difficult to be able to handle. She can often throw combinations kind of all over you, all over the body, to the head as well. When she is doing that, it's really nice. It's just, maybe she'll start doing that like she did versus Basolto, and then I don't know if she changes her mind or if she just doesn't remember to do it or if she just can't be bothered to do it, but she did kind of slow down the all over type of combinations and just stuck to just a straight kind of head combinations without distributing it all over the body, which, I mean, inevitably she was able to get Basalto out of there, but it was just, continuously wearing it down because Basalto didn't really have much of a defense to her face. But still, nonetheless, she can throw all over. She can handle physicality. I feel like she's very much used to doing that even off of the back foot, and she can fight on that to the front foot and the back foot well. She lets her hands go. She can throw going backwards quite nice. That's an attribute in which I'm seeing with a fighter similarly to that, like an Emma Dolan at the moment. She's coming through and making waves in the female scene, and what I really like is the fact that she can use her rangy shots to be able to kind of maintain a mid-range distance whilst going backwards, whilst being able to throw and land to the head at the same time. And Bermudez, does it better than that of like an Emma Dolan, but she does it well, and she's able to, like I say, throw whilst going back, which is a nice attribute to be able to have. She can kind of lean her head out the way. Of course, she is a bigger fighter than, of course, Tsunami, and so it's going to be difficult for Tsunami to be able to, like I say, close the gap. And even if she does, to be able to actually land and get up there to Bermudez's head, it's going to be difficult, especially when Bermudez is going to sit back, lean back, and swerve out the way of punches. It's going to be tough for her in that aspect, Tsunami. She does have very good straight shots, and the straight shot combinations that she throws are often very good, and she can punch over the guard as a result of that. Especially if you are a smaller fighter coming in with quite a low guard, she will just consistently kind of ping in shots, just go into the head, just catching you, and that's what she was having a lot of success with versus Basolto. She fights at a high tempo throughout pretty much all of the fight, and I feel like Tsunami will want to match some sort of a fast tempo, but I don't necessarily know if she'll be able to keep up with Bermudez throughout the whole fight, and touching upon that being just a great work rate as well. Negatives about her, I feel like she can be often arm throwing at times. She has the power there, even with arm throwing, but that's because she has good strong shots. If she sat down maybe a bit more, twisted into her shots a bit more, I feel like she could get even more fighters out of there and have even more success in that aspect, because she does have the strength, like I've said, but she is often, for the most part, arm throwing. She is not often, moving around too much. I don't think she's often circling around too much. She is one-dimensional in her defensive movements. She can stumble and be falling back a bit at times when she is fighting off the back foot. Maybe that's because, her balance isn't anything too crazy. She can have a weak open guard. She can stand quite tall. She doesn't really shorten her shots that well, so possibly something like a Tsunami can fight a bit better in close. She can doesn't always get you off as well. I feel like Basulto was frustrating her and she was trying to be physical Bermudez, but she wasn't really able to get her off too well. But she still was able to handle the physicality like I've touched upon. She does waste shots, but so does Tsunami. She has limited head movement. I feel like Tsunami has that bit better head movement and she can be frustrated. It seems like she was frustrated with Basulto continuously going in for the clinch in their fight, and so she can be frustrated and fight maybe that bit more so emotionally in the fight. To speak about Tsunami as a fighter, she's quite a solid singular shot type of fighter. She will, aim to land them singular shots with that awkward, herky-jerky type style, which is, difficult to be able to counteract and see the movements in which she's throwing. And so, it's something different to that of Bermudez, who maybe has that bit more one-dimensional approach in her movement and is going to be throwing more in combinations. It is a bit of a difference there. She hasn't got bad head movements. Like I say, it's probably better than that of Bermudez's. She will, not use it loads, but if she does, switch on and want to use it, she can use it to get in range. She's a come forward type fighter who also can be a bit of an in and out type fighter, and she's quite bouncy on her feet and will move quite well in that aspect. But I feel like that's better than that of Bermudez, who is very flat footed at times. She wants to get her front foot inside. She doesn't always lose confidence, and I don't think in general she loses confidence or will if things aren't going her way. Again, going back to that Estrada fight, a lot of things weren't going her way, but she didn't really seem to lose confidence and she was continually able to come forwards and have success. She can fight at the middle and in close range. She has a good strong right hand, which she does utilize, and when she does throw combinations, it will kind of be at the end of a combination and it can seem to hurt a bit, and her knockout ratio has shown that. Maybe it's not been against the best of fighters. I mean, her last fight was against, of course, I could touch upon Tawisuk, but it was, a Thai fighter or a Filipino fighter. I'm not entirely sure which country she was from, but she had a bit of a padded record and it wasn't anything too crazy to be able to beat her, but she wasn't even able to stop her, but she seemingly has been able to stop fighters at a low level. But can she do it against a Bermudez? I think it would be a very big ask. She is a non-stop type of fighter. She will be continuously coming forwards, trying to put the pressure on. Even if she does get a bit tired and a bit sloppy, she will be trying to keep that tempo. So I feel like it can be the makings for a high tempo, entertaining contest of this fight. She, like I say, has awkward twitches. She will try and push you back, and she has good shot variation, possibly better than that of Bermudez, who has relatively poor shot variation at times. And like I say, when she is throwing all over, then it's better, but she can forget about the body work and just go with continually just straight shots. It's not as good as Tsunami's shots, which can be that bit more varied. Negatives about Tsunami, I feel like she can definitely stay on the ropes too long. I feel like she can be kept at a jab, and Bermudez's jab, like I say, is a good, strong, rangy jab, so it might be very difficult for Tsunami to be able to get that foot inside that she wants to do. She doesn't often really evade too much shots. If she does get the head movement going, she can look good and miss a few shots, but if she does get caught with one, pretty much as soon as she gets caught with one, she just kind of freezes up and just accepts any other punishment she's going to get. And Bermudez, if she can land one in her combination, then she could land multiple as a result and be able to kind of damage Tsunami off of that. She's got quite a wasteful jab. I feel like often it's just pinging out there to not really do much, which you see quite often. Her chin can be in the air. She can wait too long. I think she can often duck her head in. I feel like she can be outlanded at times as well. She can take body shots, and Bermudez like I say, if she gets the all over combinations going, she can have success with that. Her balance isn't excellent either. Her hand speed is poorer than that of Bermudez's. She can often kind of get the worst of exchanges and was consistently getting the worst of exchanges versus Estrada. That's why inevitably she did lose the fight, and she can be kind of turned and moved around even if she is having success on the front foot. Bermudez is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Bermudez will be able to win via unanimous decision. I can just kind of see her having success with continually being able to slow down Tsunami from coming forwards with just pinging her with the jab. If she can then pair that up with multiple shots, Tsunami may be able to get the head movement going at times and maybe be able to get in close and frustrate Bermudez a little bit. But if Bermudez is going to be able to bite down on the gum shield, in which we've seen her do multiple times on multiple occasions, and just continually come forward letting off the big straight shots, then I can see Tsunami getting caught with multiple of them. Like I say, if she gets caught with one, then she probably will get caught with 3 or 4. And then with the strength of Bermudez and the back foot capabilities, she can and probably will happily be on the back foot the entire fight to Bermudez, but also be able to have a lot of success still. And then, like I say, win by unanimous decision, keep her belts, get another title defense, then hopefully, as a result, then she can go on to fight one of the other champions, a big name in the division. Like I say, there isn't really any at the moment. I mean, Sarah Bailey probably would be the other biggest name in the division, bar Kim Clavel, but of course Clavel lost versus Bermudez. So, the winner of Bailey versus Navarro, of course, that being for the WBA belt, that could maybe make a fight, but I feel like there's still no real rush to move Bailey on too quickly through the rankings. Obviously, she's already got a world title in just 5 fights, but like I say, there isn't too much of a rush, in my opinion, to move her too quickly. Juarez, that could be a fight there. I don't necessarily know if they actually fought back in 2012. I probably should have done a bit more research in that aspect, but still, she's WBC champion. Just at the back end of last year, she picked up the vacant title, which was a fight that kind of went massively under the radar. Neither the Juarez or the opponent was any name that's too big, so I feel like that could be possibly on paper seen as an easy way to be able to pick up another title, another belt, so that could happen. Or Lopez. Lopez is a 12-0 light flyweight coming out of Argentina. That could be another great fight. She hasn't really been tested too much as of yet, but she's collected up a good record, and so that could be, like I say, a great Argentinian fight to be made there. Obviously, if she does change weight, maybe go up in weight, maybe go down in weight, there could be other big fights there. Like I say, Yukasta Valle might be interested in the belts that Bermudez has, but I'm not entirely sure. I doubt that fight would happen. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you have enjoyed. Like video if you did need like video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.